Everybody was talking about how Donald Trump tweeted out that it looked like Barack Obama had tapped his phones or something at Trump Tower. Yesterday, James Comey and the intel chiefs met with the congressional leaders and whatnot to find out if there's anything to that. What do you make of what's going on?
Well, you know, I think it's fascinating that these the politicians and you know, you're kind of looking there are two sides to me. You know, there's a prosecution side and then there's the other side. As a prosecutor, I say, look, this guy is the head of the FBI. He doesn't have to tell any politician anything about any investigation that he's doing. And for all of you who think that, look, we'll keep it secret and we won't tell anyone, that's absurd. 5 minutes later, this thing is going to be on every television station. So there's very little that he can tell you, that he can, you know, that he can share with you if he's in the middle of a real investigation. However, what I find rather incredible is that James Comey, the man who couldn't wait to get in front of a camera that we're done with Hillary or no reasonable prosecutor would prosecute her. I guess I'm not reasonable, although I would have prosecuted her in a minute, Jim. But then comes back and he says, well, we're reopening the case. Why does he need the Department of Justice to push back on his new claim that we didn't wiretap anybody? I mean, this guy isn't afraid of a microphone.
Well, there's evidence. There's evidence.
You know, come right out and say it, Jim.
There's evidence.
Because you said it indirectly.
There's evidence of others being surveilled as well. In fact,
I don't doubt it.
Right. Look at James Rosen, our own James Rosen. Dennis Kucinich came out. A reporter played a tape of a sensitive phone call that he had made with someone else at a restaurant. And he's like, how did they get this? This is what he says. I can vouch for the fact that extracurricular surveillance does occur, regardless of whether it is officially approved. I was wiretapped in 2011 after taking a phone call in my congressional office from a foreign leader.
See, here's the question that I have. When the president tweeted that he was wiretapped, did he box himself into a corner so that they could say technically that he wasn't really wiretapped?
Take it literally,
you know,
right?
Literal. That, you know, maybe they had a bug somewhere as opposed to a wiretap. Maybe it was the terminology that they can deny. And this guy, Clapper, I don't believe a word he says, although he did say there's no evidence of collusion between Trump and the Russians. But, you know, this guy is also the guy who said, we don't wittingly surveil on Americans until we found out they do it every day, all the time, 24/7. So, you know, here's the thing. Do I think that they were looking at Donald Trump? Without a doubt, Barack Obama would do that in a second. He did it to James Rosen, apparently to Kucinich. This is politics. This is the dirtiest game in town.
Well, let's see what happens from it.
Well, speaking of a dirty game in town, unfortunately, on another network, Samantha Bee, a comedian, recently did a piece that we've been covering all morning here, where she mocked attendees of CPAC, saying that they sport Nazi haircuts. It just turns out she made a bit of a mistake. We're going to play the clip and get your reaction.
This venerable conference has long celebrated traditional small government conservatism. Just last year, CPAC was dominated by Ted Cruz supporters. CPAC! And chirpy little bow ties. This year, the bow ties were gone, replaced by Nazi hair. Nazi hair, Nazi hair.
That last gentleman there on the left, purportedly with a Nazi haircut, instead actually has stage 4 cancer, terminal cancer.
His sister tweeted out, when Samantha Bee makes fun of your brother for having Nazi hair, he actually has stage 4 brain cancer, but whatever floats your boat.
And this is, you know, a time for America to stop and think for a second. This is a moment where we finally can focus on but the left demonizing anyone that they disagree with. They must be Hitler-like from the president on down. They must be a Nazi. They are so willing to go over the top and over the edge to make us anything that is negative, that is horrific. Yeah. And this poor young man with stage 4 brain cancer. It's brain cancer.
It is brain cancer, and it is terminal, and it's terrible.
Shame on them.
Sure. I got an email from somebody who said that a friend of theirs was there, and apparently the cameraman or the producer from that show said, hey, could you put solitaire up on your computer so that I could take a picture of you playing solitaire during the Donald Trump speech? Obviously, it was to make young conservatives look bad.
Stupid, right.
But you know who looks stupid now is Samantha Bee, because...
And all of them, they just want to hate and demonize.
It does make you, you're right, it makes you stop and think, okay, before you make fun of someone, before you go to the extreme, comparing him to Nazi because he goes to CPAC, he's a registered Democrat, by the way, and goes to conservative,
Remember the media.
Think how negative and how nasty and how hateful people have become.
You know, the right was never like this. The Tea Party was never like this. People who didn't like Barack Obama didn't do this. This is, I think, the first time in our history that we have gotten to the point where the hate is so extreme that I worry for this country. I do.
I think they want to take God out of everything. We got to get back to that as a country. We need to start thinking of other people and loving other people.
Well, I'll tell you what, while the prognosis for this young man is grim, we have a little something for him to smile about. He did establish a GoFundMe page. When we started, I believe it was less than $10,000, and right now he's up over
52,000. 54. That's not
updated.
Now we're hearing
$55,000. Most of it coming from all of you watching out there.
I hope he has enough money to pay for his bills and to do a little bit of fun things to check off the bucket list.
Absolutely, because the heart is there. But when you judge people just by a label or a haircut, that's where you make.
You know what? This is what you're looking at is the heart of America.
That's right.
We are good people. The people on the left who are demonizing us, they are not. I'm sorry. I'm done with them.
Well, she did apologize and give him
so what? She had to apologize.
Thank you for being here. You never
You believe that?
Listen.
I love it.
We're going to be watching it. She says with a smile. All right, Judge, we're going to be watching you this weekend.
Saturday and Sunday.
I love it.
Well, we've got the jobs number. The report from the first full month of job growth under President Trump just into our newsroom.
Look at these numbers. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 235,000 jobs were created in the month of February. That is more than expected. That's up from 227,000 added in January.
I think that's winning. That's why I got a little bit more tired. And the U.S. unemployment rate is now 4.7%. That's down from 4.8% in January. So certainly some good numbers coming.
That's why those college students are taking naps. They're tired of winning.
I'm reading
everywhere.
Some of the commentary about the number. This number clears the way for the Fed to increase the interest rate going forward. Newt Gingrich, former Speaker of the House, joins us right now live from our nation's capital. Newt, also, according to the Wall Street Journal, the labor force participation rate went up a little bit, and wages better than last month as well.
Well, look, I think this is the beginning of turning the Trump rally into a Trump reality. He's already worked very hard to create jobs. He's going to do a lot more. His deregulation efforts are going to pay off big time. They need to pass tax reform, which will really accelerate economic growth. He's going to be very frugal in how the government buys things. That's going to bring down the deficit. That will further help economic growth. So I think you're seeing the beginnings, I emphasize beginnings, of a potential Trump economic era that could involve great consumer confidence, lots of people going out starting new businesses, and a real boom in American job creation.
Well, Mr. Speaker, speaking of beginnings, the beginnings of the rollout of the Republican repeal and replace of Obamacare has taken place. And with Vice President Mike Pence, he's now out there backing the bill, says this is our bill, and trying to get everyone behind it, including conservatives. What do you make of the state of play right now with conservatives out there criticizing the current plan, the Vice President making a big push on it, and the President himself doing so with folks coming to the White House?
Well, I actually like the way President Trump and Vice President Pence have approached this. They both said, look, this is a good basic start. They've both said they're willing to negotiate. I think you had a White House quote earlier that they're doing exactly what Donald Trump does. Remember, his book was called The Art of the Deal, not The Art of the Unilateral Decision. And that's the way it should be. The legislative process, this is what Obamacare did not do. They didn't go through amendments and hearings and negotiations.
Regular order.
They rammed it through. So Speaker Ryan has talked over and over about the importance of reestablishing regular order. Senator McConnell has a very hard job because of the nature of Senate rules and the fact that his majority is so narrow. But I think their job has to be see what gets a majority in the House, then see what gets passage in the Senate, then probably go to conference and see if you can work out something which meets both bodies. This is the constitutional process. It's not,
so
shouldn't be a big surprise.
So, you see, some in the Freedom Caucus are afraid that they're not going to listen to anything they're saying, and the bill
but that's not what the Vice President said.
Well, I realize that.
Vice President last night, he was on exclusive with Brett Baer.
Because he's busy selling it. But my question is, how much flexibility do they have in changing the bill?
They have as much as they need to get to a majority. That is the legislative process. I mean, America's a very tough country to govern because the Founding Fathers distributed power to avoid dictatorship, and they invented a machine so inefficient that no dictator can make it work, and we can barely get it to work voluntarily. And that's the way it's supposed to be. So I think the bill will be improved. I think it'll have different things done to it. It's very hard if you're the guys who wrote the bill. No committee chairman wants to go through this process. All committee chairmen would like to write their bill, pass it on their terms, preferably quickly, so they can go back to being chairman. But that's really not what's going to happen here, nor should it be. I'm very encouraged by Trump's attitude. Come on down, let's do a little bowling, let's chat, would you like an iced tea,
right.
How are things going? Remember, they've got all the regulatory power of Dr. Price to fix things. They've got a chance for future legislation to help fix things. And then they got to work out what will, very simple, what will pass the House and pass the Senate. They've got to answer that question.
Well, the Vice President said we do need to improve. There is room for improvement, and we are going to listen to all the conservatives that want to weigh in on this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for being with us.
Great.
Happy Friday. Have a great weekend.
Take care.
Thank you.
College students, they're staging nap-ins to have dreams of diversity. We're not kidding. What do Americans who gave their life and limb for their country think about a little nap-in? Well, we're going to ask Marine veteran who risked his life next.
And you heard it here first, a wildly popular new book. It's called Reasons to Vote for Democrats. And this morning we have a major update for you.
Where's the words?
The pages are blank.
I'm blanking on it. Ain't it fun? Poisoning. It's poisonous, that is to say. The disgusting guide to wedding bliss warns husbands that gossiping about their many wives shows a lack of manliness. So there you go. Guns N' Roses.
Okay. Well, just when you thought college campuses couldn't get more out of touch, well, Southern Illinois University students will have nap-ins in the library. Yes, you heard that right. According to the school, this 3-week project will give students the space they need to express their dreams for the future and a diverse future. Interactive art provides public space for honest and open dialogue, which helps foster imaginative hope for students concerned about diversity. Yes, someone actually wrote that. Is this why military men and women sacrifice themselves so college students can take a nap in the name of art? Well, for more, let's turn to retired Marine Corps bomb technician Johnny Joey Jones. He joins me now. Gave a lot more than anybody else in this country in Afghanistan in service to this country. I just got to get your reaction. Nap-ins at Southern Illinois University.
Good morning, Pete. Listen, maybe they can find their dream job during one of these naps, because I think that's what college is for, is to educate ourselves and go make a living, be a contributive member to society. I'm not as offended by this, mainly because I'm not surprised anymore. I spent a few years at Georgetown University, but I was educated in the Marine Corps, make no mistake about it.
Well, absolutely. Talk to me about that education. The education you don't get through your napping and dreaming about dreams of diversity in the future on their dream wall. But the education you got in the Marine Corps, serving overseas, what did that expose you to that taught you about this world in America?
Well, the irony here is that, these are the groups of people who, challenge those of us who stand up for something to say, maybe we don't accept everyone or we don't understand diversity. If you want to understand diversity, raise your right hand, accept the fact that your life may not be as important as the safety and security of this nation, and go see what diversity is in the real world. Diversity is a place where women can't look men in the eye, a place where babies are dipped in boiling water because they cry too much and then brought to us infidels to fix. Diversity can be ignorance. So this country is diverse, and we celebrate that every day. We don't need to take a nap to see that. Diversity in this country is someone struggling and then achieving the American dream regardless of their race, religion, or sex.
Well, Johnny, and for those of us that don't know you, just share your story quickly. What happened to you in Afghanistan in 2010? Obviously, the camera is just top up, but you gave for this country.
Well, you know, I had one bad day in the Marine Corps. I was there for 8 years, and on August 6, 2010, I lost my legs rendering safe IEDs in Afghanistan. But like I said, it was one bad day. It's been nothing but easy sailing ever since.
Well, you know, you've done an amazing job, like so many do, coming back and contributing to this country. I got to ask one question back to the nap-ins. Let's say you nap, but you have a bad dream or your dream isn't as diverse as it should be. Do they still let you put it on the dream wall, do you think?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think this is good feelings only. It's all good vibes, man.
Okay, I figured as much. I mean, because there's tolerance until there's no tolerance of dreams that are not sufficiently dreamy about the future. Joey, thank you very much for being here this morning. What a bizarre story.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You got it. All right, here's something you probably didn't know. $300 million of your tax dollars spent to protect and serve illegal immigrants. That's right. And if it makes you mad, just wait until you hear the rest of it. And to tweet or not to tweet, the president getting some social media advice from Cardinal Timothy Dolan. But first, happy birthday to Carrie Underwood. She is 34 years young today.
It needs to be a little shorter. Yeah, I don't think this is possible. Yeah.
Oh, what were we thinking? Wow, you nailed it.
That is our shot of the morning. That was our failed attempt to eat Oreos without using our hands.
That's right, but thankfully, today we have the chance to redeem ourselves. Take a look. This is the Dunkin' Buddy. It's so simple. Buddy. We found it apparently online. It works like this. It's 2 parts. You're going to put your Oreo in this part.
All right.
And then thanks to a magnet, you're going to use the magnet as an actual, it goes like this.
And then you just...
See, you put the Dunkin' Buddy carrier right there, and then you watch through the...
You can
go up,
I'm trying
and
up and down.
All right,
so my Oreos float, though.
Ladies and gentlemen,
all right,
shall we try it?
Falling out. This strikes me as something Western civilization didn't need.
Here, Abby, let me show you something.
Abby needs a pink cup.
What?
Pink cup.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right, here.
The perfect did it work? Did you do it?
Oh,
you're sharing your milk. Oh, wait, the Oreos float. They come out of the
Oreos drop out of the Dunkin' Buddy.
All right, so you can't dunk it all the way down. Just dunk it.
You just need more milk.
Right, that's good. So you can't dunk. Oh, wait.
Can you tell me why fingers are not sufficient?
Because it gets all over your fingers, and then you have to. It's just something fun and cute to do with your kids.
Pete is such a caveman. I love whenever we do food
how cute
delicious.
I mean, your kids would love this. You're going to take this home to your boys.
I know. What's wrong with finger technology?
Hey, email us. What are things that go together so well? Oreos and milk.
It's true.
Donuts and coffee.
Anything and peanut butter.
Way too much work to do it.
Way too much work,
you think?
Yep.
And you have to wash it. One more thing to clean, right?
You can, but then you get to drink the milk that's got some Oreo in it.
That works
too.
That's pretty good.
All right, save this for me. I got to do some headlines. I don't want Oreo in my teeth, but I'll be back. All right. We do want to get to this morning.
Here's Abby with the news.
Sorry with this. All right.
Thank you.
The search is on for a group of, this is a horrible story, a group of bikers who left a driver beaten and bloody in the road. This disturbing video shows bikers popping wheelies on a San Francisco highway before one slams right into a white car. That's when other bikers appear to box the car in and bash in its windows and mirrors. The driver then getting out of the car, the bikers punching and kicking him to the ground, breaking his leg. Police now reviewing the video in hopes of tracking down those attackers. Just terrible. Well, he was one of the most outspoken critics against the president's pick for Education Secretary, Senator Al Franken, slamming Betsy DeVos for her stance on school choice and vouchers.
The entire hearing was a showcase for her lack of qualifications.
But the Daily Caller now reveals that Franken might not be against the idea after all. He sent his own kids to one of the most prestigious schools right here in New York City, with tuition costing around $40,000.
A year?
Apparently. I don't know a year, but still a lot of money. Nearly $300 million of your tax dollars spent on helping to protect and serve illegal immigrants. That's according to the Daily Caller. The feds funded at least 8 pro-immigrant nonprofits between 2012 and 2016. Those groups providing everything from legal and social services to political advocacy. And at least one nonprofit endorsed failed presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. Also, this morning, a story that you saw first right here on Fox and Friends, the book, Reasons to Vote for Democrats. We did this yesterday. It's filled with 266 blank pages. Well, it is now, listen to this, Ainsley, it's now #1 on Amazon. The author, Michael Knowles, telling us about his project yesterday.
It took a very long time to research this book. When I observed their record and the reasons to vote for them on reasons of economics or foreign policy or homeland security or civil rights and so on, I realized it was probably best to just leave all the pages blank.
Thanks to viewers like you, Reasons to Vote for Democrats moved from #4 to #1 on Amazon since yesterday. And I read one of the reviews, and all it said was, thorough.
Thorough, it's great.
There was one on there, too, that said, I can't wait for the audiobook.
Yeah, it's a quick read.
Here's the thing about books these days. How many people actually read books these days? If you don't read a book, that's the perfect book for you.
Well, it's true. I wrote a book. It came out last year. You spent all this time, 6 months on it. Guy writes a non-book book and beats the pants off you.
We had Tony Robbins on our show the day before, and I'm sorry, Tony, but his book is beating yours.
His book is beating everybody. Sorry, Bill O'Reilly.
Beating everyone. If you're #1 on Amazon, you're #1 across the board, because, you know, there are different lists. There's the children's book list, and there's like the hardback copy list, and then they're all different. There's like
Fiction,
5 or 6 different. Right.
I love that
He's
the
#1 out of everyone.
bibliography, though, is full. He's got Saul Alinsky and the Communist Manifesto and all of that.
So a lot of people don't read books anymore because it's all about their smartphone. They're busy with Facebook, and they're busy with Twitter and stuff like that. We know that our President of the United States is the world's Twitterer-in-chief, and yesterday on Neil Cavuto, he asked Cardinal Dolan about the president